Welcome to Wonder X. In this video, we'll give you the top 10 things that you missed in Loki episode 5. And we know that you had a blast watching the show, but you may miss something important that were hidden in the plain sight. So before we go further, we issue a spoiler alert. Since we get into deeper details, so it is best advised to watch this after you've seen the episode. And now, without any delay, let's start with number 10. Journey into Mystery. This episode is so packed with many references that even the title is Marvel comic reference. Journey into Mystery started as rather a run-of-the-mill anthology title, which started publishing in 1952, and it was before Marvel was Marvel. With Journey into Mystery issue number 83, the title switched to being all about the new superhero Thor. And fast forwarding to 2011, the Journey into Mystery became Kid Loki's comic, with issue number 622. So this is far from the first time that classic Loki and the Kid Loki have appeared in something that's titled Journey into Mystery. Number 9. Ecto Cooler. Well, Loki has too many discontinued beverages. We have seen Mobius, who is a fan of Josta Cola, and now we see the Kid Loki drinking the Ecto Cooler. The drink was so popular that it outlived the animated series it was originally created to promote. The beverage was discontinued in 2001, but it later came back for a few months in 2016. So, if you have ever drank one of them, then tell us about your experience in the comment section.
Correct me if I'm wrong, is Owen Wilson drinking Josta, like that weird soda from like 1995? Like, how did that happen? I was like, I remember that from middle school, like from high school.
So in the writer's room, they were adding in lots of stuff that basically doesn't really exist anymore. So that's kind of a fun joke that we tried to continue.
And now moving forward to number 8, Alligator Loki Bites.
You're telling me that thing's a Loki too?
Oh, yes.
Alligator Loki bites into many hands callbacks. In just 2 episodes, Alligator Loki has managed to become one of the favorite variants. The reptile definitely cemented his popularity when he bites the hand of its presidential counterpart's hand. This hilarious scene could be a callback to the MCU's running trend of character losing hands, or the time when Loki pretended to injure one of his brother's arms in Thor: The Dark World.
Get at my feet!
And by the way, you should really keep your hand safe because it's not good to get your hand bitten, especially by an alligator. Number 7. USS Eldridge. Now you might have seen this big ship entering the void, and then all the life on the ship was taken away by Alioth. But what you did not notice is that this is the World War II era warship which served from 1943 to 1946. The story of this warship goes back in 1955, when a man claimed that he witnessed an experiment wherein the US Navy teleported the warship to another dimension. And none of this lines up with the actual documented history. Clearly, as the Eldridge never came close to Philadelphia, for one thing. And also, aliens and other dimensions in 1955? That doesn't add up.
Alioth is like any animal. He'll go after the big meal first. And while he's busy with that, we can sneak around the back.
Hey, are you still watching? Well, if you are watching, then go ahead and smash that like button, as it really encourages us to make similar mind-blowing content for you every single week.
Okay. Maybe we, think a bit more about this, huh?
Number 6. Throg. While we were panning down through the void's layer of sediment, we see a number of artifacts, including Mjolnir and Oh My Thunder God Throg. This is Thor, but as a frog. And since he's a frog and a Thor, so it's a Throg. Makes sense? Never mind. He has all the powers of Thor once he touches Mjolnir. And this version of Thor debuted in the most beloved Thor stories during Walt Simon's iconic 1980s run. Loki turned Thor into a frog, and then Thor helped a bunch of Central Park frogs fight off an invading army of rats. And then we also noticed that the jar holding the Throg is labeled T365. Because while Loki turned Thor into a frog in Thor issue 364, the amphibian didn't turn into a tiny green Thor until Thor issue 365. Well, did you notice this thing? Well, if you did, then go ahead and tell us in the comment section. Number 5. Polybius. Since the void is dumping ground for the surreal, that makes perfect place to spot a Polybius arcade game. While this game doesn't have a Marvel comic connection, it is real urban legend from the early 2000s, about a 1980s arcade game developed by the government to act as a psychology experiment. The purpose of the game was to make players addicted to the game, which would put them in a psychoactive state. Well, according to the urban legends, this mysterious game caused players to experience symptoms like amnesia, hallucinations, and insomnia when it appeared in 1981. This urban legend is real in the MCU, and at least in one of the numerous timelines, it was proven by the TVA. So if the Lokis ever challenge you for that game, you better pass it on. Number 4. Thanos Copter. Well, this is a fun one. And yes, the crashed helicopter with Thanos written across its tail is from the comics. A truly bizarre piece of late 70s continuity. The Thanos Copter, yep, that's what it's called, debuted a short tale in 1979 Spidey Super Stories issue number 39. The story pit Thanos against the Spider-Man and Hellcat, who possessed the powerful cosmic cube known as the Tesseract in the MCU. And you better believe that Thanos piloted that helicopter with his name on it to track Hellcat down.
The Tesseract. Or your brother's head.
Alright, stop! We don't have the Tesseract. It was destroyed on Asgard.
I assure you, brother, the sun will shine on us again.
Your optimism is misplaced, Asgardian.
Well, for one thing, I'm not Asgardian.
Just imagine Thanos riding a helicopter and drop down your thoughts and reaction in the comment section. And now we're heading straight to the top 3 spots, but before we get there, we just want you to go ahead and subscribe to Under X so that you don't miss any future videos. Number 3. Quang Tower. In the opening shot of The Void, we see a completely ravaged cityscape which includes the most familiar building in the MCU's NYC, Stark Tower. But if you look closely, you'll notice that it doesn't have Stark on it. Instead, it has Quang. In the comics, Quang Enterprises bought the tower from Tony Stark in 2015. The CEO of Quang was a man known as Mr. Griffon, a man ultimately revealed to be one of the many identities of Kang the Conqueror. So yeah, this is the latest in the long line of references to the villain, who will be played by Jonathan Majors in the upcoming Ant-Man sequel. And who knows, maybe he'll come in the Loki's finale. Number 2. The Living Tribunal. Okay, this one needs further explanation. In addition to the recognizable stuff scattered across the void, we also see the remains of a statue of the Living Tribunal. The Living Tribunal debuted in the Strange Tales issue 158. This all-powerful cosmic entity is in the charge of overseeing and judging every reality in Marvel's multiverse. The being first clashed with Doctor Strange after judging the Earth to be unfit to exist. And the appearance of this Living Tribunal statue makes sense, considering that TVA kinda stole their gig, that is judging and destroying realities. And it is evident to pose this question now, that could the tribunal be behind the TVA? Coming to number 1, Alioth.
What is this place? Where are we? Who are you?
This is the Void, that's Alioth. We're his lunch, come on!
Now we're getting the clear hint that Kang the Conqueror will appear when Alioth showed up. This terrifying entity was able to consume everything which gets in his sight. In the comics, Ravonna Renslayer revived Kang from coma to combat Alioth. The Conqueror then sent a powerful being named Tempest to fight Alioth. While those two struggled against each other indefinitely, Kang's futuristic kingdom was kept safe from being consumed. This story mirrors Sylvie's view that massive creature is protecting someone in the MCU. Alioth's appearance, a large fantasy building in the void, and Ravonna Renslayer's presence all seem to point to Kang.
It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters now is getting out of here and finding out who's behind all of this.
And we'll get the confirmation on whether or not the Conqueror is behind the curtain in the finale. So sit tight and wait for it.
Not so good a bargain. How about this one? My army, my throne.
And if you don't want to miss the part 6 of this video, then go ahead and click on that notification bell. With that being said, we'll take your leave and we'll see you again at Wonder X with an amazing top 10.